Welcome to HortTube. My name is Putnam. In this video, I am doing some cleaning in the garden here in Raleigh, North Carolina, Zone 8A. This project has been going on a while, and it has had, it looked fantastic, absolutely fantastic at times. It's never been finished. Lots of things left to do out here, and we're about to redesign this front curb area out here on this side of the fence. We really have never been all that happy with how it's looked, especially in the wintertime out here beyond the fence, and then foundations and all kinds of other projects going on here if you want to follow along. But we left town for 2 months during leaf fall, during first frost when the annuals were killed, during the time the turf went to sleep and left grass and everything else on it, and so on and so forth. And a driveway that I need to put some sort of edging along to keep soil from going into the driveway. It's easy to keep clean, but if you go for a long time, it can be a problem. So I'm out here on a very cool December evening, pulling up annuals that I would have pulled up 2 months ago. There's some vinca out here at the road that I pulled up. I got the leaves off the turf. That turf is going away. I have not maintained it in a while at all because I knew it was going away. Somebody asked, where would the dogs go to use the bathroom without that grass in the front garden? They've never really used that spot. We let them out in the back, and we have the paths that are mulched in the back, and we have a side lot that the city owns that the dogs are able to go into, and then they get walked more than any dogs alive, I think, because I got a neighbor over here that says, "You're gonna walk them dogs to death," about every fifth time I walk past them. So they get out and about quite a bit, well traveled. But I cleaned off the current turf area, finished edging around it. There was a video that went up last week putting pansies on 2 sides of this area over here, and some tulips were planted, some daffodils were planted, just getting back in here and getting back to it. There were leaves all up against the curb here. I don't dispose of any leaves or any of that material. None of that leaves the property. We will recycle it in some form or fashion. Most of the leaves I'll just rake up under, all the leaves that were on the turf out here, I just raked up under the dogwood, the evergreen dogwood, and thinned it out. I didn't want it this thick. It's just a thin layer around the base of it, and that will be its kind of winter root protection. The driveway is a mess, and unfortunately, it rained. Well, fortunately, actually, it rained about 4 inches or something crazy like that. Our rain gauge is 5 inches, and it was full. I'm thinking it can't be 5 inches of rain. I haven't actually checked. So I'm thinking 3.5, 4 inches of rain we got on Sunday. I mean, absolutely poured multiple times during the day. It was just a perfect rain. And I had put up a video about how dry it was. Thankfully, that is a little cured anyway. But it made, the driveway over there a mess. There's a big slope off the front lot onto the driveway. It sinks down pretty far, and it carries mulch and everything else down there. I'm going to put a retaining wall across that at some point just to keep the mulch up in the beds. It's okay if the water travels across. Then the water, it's a brick driveway, which I want to keep because it allows some water down into the ground. I don't want a complete hard surface driveway. I'd like to have some ability to get water through it and down into the ground. Not a lot's going through that brick after all this time, but a little. And then it goes between the fence over there off the property, and that all fills in when that mulch gets, when you get a heavy rain, it all fills in, and then it ponds up on the driveway. So there's some re-engineering of that needs to go on. It's the kind of thing I did as a landscape contractor for years and years and years, was to fix those kinds of problems that people had. But it's like anybody else. It's like I used to have a cartoon on my refrigerator that said the landscaper's yard, and it was a truck on bricks in the front yard and tools everywhere and grass this tall, because you get home, you don't necessarily want to do that. But I got to jump on that. I got to jump on that project at some point because it is just a mess over there. And then again, getting the non-native perennials cut back. We leave most of the native perennials up where we can, Joe Pye weed and a bunch of those, because they have hollow stems, and sometimes our native pollinators can overwinter in them. They do the same thing on the leaves, so I don't go, I chop some of the leaves up, but not all of the leaves. You will have seen that in another video as well. What else had to be done out here? Just cleaning off paths. I like for my paths to be differentiated from the beds. So that's one thing I will rake off and keep clean, because it's just a nice, sharp, overall look to it. This dog knows exactly where this camera points. Isn't it absolutely incredible? I mean, for those of you who've been watching this channel for 6 years, I didn't train her which side the camera points. She could just as easily be behind Steph right now as she is on this side, but she always knows which way it's pointing. I know she doesn't know. I guess she just wants to be on the side that I'm on, but it is kind of funny. She just will pose, you know, for long stretches in the video. What else got accomplished out here? Oh, had a big giant lantana over there that needed to be cut back, and I needed gloves on for that particular operation. I have gloves, and I never go out there and get them. Lantana will just absolutely eat you up when you cut it back. I went ahead and cut it back to get that area cleaned up and mulched, and that lantana had been leaning on some conifers over there, so I'm gonna have to do something different with that space next year, because some of these, a lot of what was planned in this garden early on was to have shrubs and trees that would fill in over some period of time, and in the meantime we would have herbaceous perennials and flowering annuals kind of hold those spaces until they filled in. Well, now some of those things are filling in, and so some of these perennials either have to be moved, or less of them go into the space, or whatever, you know, just changes. Yeah, that's what happens. A garden matures and changes happen. I had the old garden down at the old house that, you know, it reaches 20 years old, and that's when you're making this massive decisions to take things out. Gardens evolve. You know, that's what happens with them. The stone path that I had out here had been covered up with some mulch. Some of the maintenance that we didn't do was because we had the house construction going on. So not only were we out of town for 2 months, but we had a garden full of people working on the house for some period of time, and a lot of that is, you know, part of the lack of maintenance too. So yeah, add on another month or two. Those guys were here for probably 6 to 8 weeks before we left, and we left literally when they finished. So that's even more of a period of time where a lot of this wasn't maintained. But it's starting to come back together. I like to, you know, I really like a natural look in the garden. Not this natural. Okay. Not what you're seeing in the videos currently. Not this natural. I do like a natural look, but I do like crispy edges here and there. You know, I don't like, you know, this mulch sitting over top of this, you know, of the curb here. I like to have that stuff cleaned up and exposed, the driveway nice and clean, you know, the paths where they're supposed to be paths look orderly and that kind of thing. But then, you know, the plants and the mulched beds and those kinds of things can look a little, you know, look a little more natural, but again, not this natural. So thank you guys so much for following along with the channel. We're very lucky here in the South to be in a short sleeve shirt on December 12th or whatever it is at 4:30 in the afternoon. Steph has a full coat on. She's looking at me like she wears a coat, and I wear typically shorts and a short sleeve shirt out here. But it's nice, the ground's not frozen, so we can continue to, you know, get things accomplished out here, get things even in the ground, and we've got a lot of plants arriving. There was as you're watching this, I put up a unboxing video from Plant Delights. We have some things coming from Mr. Maple. I have 2 boxes coming from Southern Living Plant Collection. I have a crazy amount of things that you guys are going to see on this property and on other properties as well. So subscribe to follow along. Thanks for watching.